wish that I could just wish away my feelings, but I can't.
Sand hurts my feelings.
I don't like sand,
Hurts my
sand.
feelings.
Haunted by fake sand in my very soul. Sand. How you're suffering as much as I am.
Sand
I
hurts
can't
my
breathe.
feelings.
Tormenting me. I'm in agony.
Sand hurts my feelings.
I don't like sand.
Hello, and welcome to the Sand Hurts My Feelings, a Star Wars podcast from a Swiftie point of view. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm your other host, Sarah. And today we are going to take a look at the album Folklore and figure out the connections and what song we feel best represents Princess Leia. But before we dive in, Alex, how are we doing?
We're doing pretty good. We have a panel that is coming up in the next week.
Very short amount of time.
Very short amount of time. Very short turnaround. It's insane. We are going to be at Twin Cities Con, and we are going to be talking about Leia and Taylor Swift and the connection to all the albums that we've talked about so far.
Yeah, we're very excited. The schedule, as we're recording this, the schedule just dropped this week. This is all very quick turnaround. So Twin Cities Con is going to be November 8th, 9th, and 10th in Minneapolis at the Convention Center. And we are fortunate enough to be selected to have a panel at 6 p.m. on Saturday where we will be talking, kind of Leia and Taylor Swift and their connections. And we're stoked.
We kind of put in for the getting a panel. We're just like, hey, let's try. We also have another panel for our other podcast, Feeling the Force. I can feel your anger in the Skywalker saga. So that's another panel that we'll be doing on Sunday, and that will be very fun to do. But we put in for both and did not expect either one to get picked, or if we got picked, it would be just one, but we're doing two.
Yeah, so we're excited to meet other people who are both excited about Taylor Swift and Star Wars like we are. So that is what our focus has been on really the past couple of weeks, and getting our presentation ready and getting our outline going.
So if you're in Minnesota, come on down to Twin Cities Con. Check us out. We'll be there at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Saturday.
Finally getting that fall now, which is nice.
Well, and I just think it's so perfect to be talking about Folklore in the fall, because it is a very moody album. So I just feel we're fully embracing it, and I'm here for it.
Correct. This is a more intimate album, I think. So it's very interesting to think about and dissect this album and Leia, because it's very different.
Oh yeah.
I think from what we've done so far, this is a very different album. And I would even say a little more challenging to find songs because of the specific stories that are being told in the album.
Yeah.
But we can talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But
I was going to say that tees us up perfectly to talk about our experiences with the album. So why don't you go first and, tell us about your experience with Folklore.
So Folklore has a lot of connections to me. Again, it came out July during the pandemic. So everybody was kind of really stressed out. Everybody was having lots of issues. And this is, I think, the first actual album that me as a straight white male could start to identify with. And because I'm and not to critique Taylor in any way, that's not who she's writing to. She's writing to teenage girls. And I was I love the songs, I love the music and everything, but I would not be this, I can relate to this song. This is me. I could be in this situation.
Sure. Okay.
And this was probably also because I just didn't date a lot. So I didn't have those experiences of I feel heartbroken at this moment, or I feel that kind of thing. I didn't have those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a very different experience than my previous ones, because with this one, I went through a lot and identified a lot with a lot of these songs. And
you want to give an example?
I mean,
Do you feel comfortable with that?
Sure. I mean, I mean, there are a couple, like The One was a big one for me. Like I cried hearing that. This Is Me Trying was a big one
Yeah.
that hit me because we've not been shy about this. Like I have dealt with anxiety and depression all throughout my life, and to have a song sung by somebody who's so famous and so things, but like be like, I understand, and I know I can't see you, but I see you. Of like, she doesn't know me, she doesn't know what I've been through, what all of her fans have been through, because she can't. But it felt like I was seen,
Mhm.
and I know that that's what a lot of people get attracted to her about, is that like they identify with the songs that she writes. So like to me, that was the one that hooked me, of like, oh my goodness, this is me.
Mm.
Like, because like, yeah, you can have really rough days and be fighting really hard, and everyone's just, you're supposed to be fine. Like you're good. And you made tons of mistakes, and there's small victories that people don't, like, the world doesn't acknowledge.
Right. Like getting out of bed
in the morning, like, and not that, I mean, but like the best example of like, I didn't pour the whiskey. Like, are you a perfect person for that? No. Like, did you fix yourself completely? No. Were you tempted to pour the whiskey and drink because you're an alcoholic? Yes, but you didn't. Like, that's a victory, even though it's super small, and you're like, oh, you're an alcoholic, you shouldn't drink. Like, that's a victory, and like that's those small things that I really identified with, and I also really enjoyed her song about her grandfather.
Oh, and because that was Epiphany.
Epiphany, yes, because I know it doesn't hit for some people, but with that one, it was just like, we're going through the pandemic. Like, this was the pandemic song. And
Yeah.
she's literally like, I don't know what to do. Like, looking for an epiphany that's not coming, of like, why do I keep doing this? How do you just keep, and you just have to keep going. And to me, I kind of identified it of like, it was very specific of going for her grandfather and then the first responders. But like, to me, I also identified it of like, you just have to keep going. Like, that's people who are dealing with any other issue, big traumas, big issues, of like, you have to keep going, and you're searching for an epiphany that may never come. So yeah, this one was this, and also this is, I think, and there's like a whole story through this album that has not been really, I think, what Taylor has done before.
Yeah.
And so it was not necessarily about Taylor, I don't think.
No.
This was more these are about people and different things. So
Right. She tried, like she talks about that she tried a different way of storytelling.
yeah. So yeah, this one was hard to listen to sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's even still sometimes hard to listen to, because it is a lot more of a thought-provoking and deeper album, I think, than a lot of her others, at least all of her previous.
I would agree.
And so it's that kind of, oh, am I in the right headspace to be sad right now? Like, am I in the right headspace to be where she's going to take us? Because we were all in that headspace at that time of like, we don't know what life is going to be like in the pandemic.
Yeah,
So,
during the height of it all.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's me.
Well, thank you. Like, thank you for being so open with that. So yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure we listened to it together, but I was still a relatively new Swiftie at this point. Like, we talked about last episode that Lover is kind of in a sense, my first Taylor Swift album. That, I listened to it all when it came out and it got me into her. But this album like opened my eyes to like, she is a poet. She is an author. It goes so much deeper than like the Billboard Top 100. Like, to me, this showed me that she is like a true artist in, I guess, a lot of different aspects. The intricacy of the lyrics and to me, the whole storytelling piece of like, and figuring out which songs go together, and you get references to different songs together. And it's like, I hadn't really thought about an album in that way before, or experienced an album in that way before. And I found that like so cool. Like,
Our cat is deciding that she wants to interrupt our recording session today.
Yeah,
so she's not making noise, but she's bothering us.
yeah,
so if
she
we're
was
distracted,
chewing on the
that's
mic
why.
cord just now.
That's why we're distracted. Apologies.
Okay. But yeah, like it showed me like what an album could be. And it's not just a collection of like 2-minute, 30-second earworms. Like, this tells a whole cohesive story. And I am the kind of person that I don't necessarily like to listen to albums in sequential order, because I like not knowing what song comes next and that predictiveness of it. But this album showed me like artists pick track orders for a reason. And like, you lay this out to tell a story in a particular way, and it's intended to be listened to in a particular way. So in that regard, it opened my eyes to not just her music, but artists as a whole. And I'm not saying like every artist doesn't necessarily does that, but there's quite a few that do have very intentional track orders on their albums because of the story or the narrative they're trying to tell. So I love this album. And then some of them hit really deep. And I think that was also the surprising part for me as a relatively new Swiftie. And I mean, you talked about it a little too, Alex. Like, it's a different tone than her previous albums. And like, she had some deep moments on previous albums, but she goes to some really dark and intimate places here that I don't think she's touched on before.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was definitely what we needed at the time. And I mean, I still love it. I still need it. But yeah, it's incredible.
It is. And we also, I do want to bring up that like this album came out before Red 10-minute version.
That
and
too.
I know that one was, because we've talked about Red 10-minute version before, but like this album came out before that,
Right.
because of the re-releases. And I know you felt a lot, and I have felt a lot with the Red 10-minute version, but like this album kind of opened you up to that ability.
Right. Because, you know, my experience to Taylor prior to this had been, you know, the little sound clips you hear on the radio. And it's just like, oh, you know, you're just trying to get that next top 100 hit. And it's like, no, there is such a craft here. There is a care here. She didn't have to do this, but she did. Like, it's beautiful.
Well, yeah, and I have a very distinct memory. I would agree. I don't have a distinct memory of us of us listening to the album together, but I have a very distinct memory of us watching the Folklore, the Long Pond studio sessions on Disney Plus.
I think we both cried.
We did. Oh, I know I did, and it was, again, that was part of my like my feelings on This Is Me Trying, and like she basically solidified what I was already feeling in those feelings of, she's just like, my fans have victories that I'll never see, and I want them to know that those little victories are appreciated.
Yeah.
And like, I know they'll never know it, and I'll never see them, but like, you can do it, and you're a successful person for trying.
Right.
Like, and relating it to Star Wars, we're not talking about like do or do not, there is no try. Totally separate thing. Oh no, I'm willing to go there, because again, we're connecting our Star Wars connections. The do or do not is, to me, not about actually doing something. It is about it is about the mentality of it. It's not actually the oh, you did or did not do it. It's, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to have the mentality that I'm going to do it. If you don't succeed that first time, that's not what it's talking about. It's that you keep going at it. It's not do or do not, there is no try. Because I mean, like, I tell my students that, of like, do or do not, there is no try, except when you're trying, like, do your best. That's what it's talking about when I say trying. Not oh, I'm gonna try to do it, but if I don't do it, I don't do it. Like that's the mentality as I view it of like this is me trying, of like I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to fix my mentality and fix my life.
Right.
So
Yes.
had to make that connection.
Yeah.
Got to connect Star Wars and Taylor Swift.
Always. So we're ready to dive into our picks for Leia.
I would say so. Yes.
Yeah. I think we're going to be a little moody here, but that's okay.
Yes, we're gonna be very moody.
All right. You're up first.
So my selection, and as we've heard from again family members who are our listeners, you are not going to know what this is because I'm going to talk about a book, and Star Wars books. You're not reading them, and that's fine. Anyone else who's read Star Wars books, fantastic. You will hopefully have read this. I'm going to talk about Bloodline.
Okay. No, I figured you might because Bloodline 1 is a great book, but I figured out what I was going to say. So please continue on.
So my selection is Mad Woman.
Oh, I love this already. I know where you're going now that you've said those two things, and please talk.
So basically, Mad Woman is about Leia going to the Senate in Bloodline and being called crazy because she goes to the Senate and says the First Order's coming, like they're coming, and she realizes that the Senate is corrupt and that her friend Senator Ransom Castaferro was framed for crimes he didn't commit and would be put to death. And she starts the resistance to fight the rise of the First Order. She leaves the Senate and joins the resistance, creates the resistance.
Yeah, because she realizes like no one's listening. They're not
listening. So, lyrics that line up perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Now I breathe flames each time I talk. My cannons all firing at your yacht.
Oh yeah, that definitely speaks to the Senate.
And so she is enraged that after all her fighting for the Empire and all her work that she has done for the New Republic to make it better, it's becoming just like the Old Republic. It's collapsing in the bureaucracy and being corrupted. And because her friend, as she's enraged that like a good man is going to be put to death because he has found the truth and therefore it's used against him. And the corruption is, so it's not about truth. It's not about fairness. It's not about justice. It's about who can work the system and make it the way it is. And so she is willing to burn down something that she created to prevent the past from repeating. Then it goes on to, they say move on, but you know I won't. And women like hunting witches too.
Because there was that one nasty...
Yes, I'm literally going to bring it up. Yep. Yeah, so in the Bloodline of the Senate wants her to forget about the First Order and move on to different topics because the Empire isn't coming back. But she learned from her mother that democracy dies in darkness. So she keeps fighting. Lady Carice, another senator, actively sabotages Leia from the Senate, from the first senator role by revealing Leia's ties to Darth Vader, and by eliminating Leia basically from Senate power.
Yeah.
And this is the woman is hunting another woman because she wants the power of the First Order to come and come back, or the Republic, or sorry, the Empire. So yeah, this lines up real well. Then it says, doing your dirtiest work for you. It's obvious that wanting me dead has really brought you two together. So this to me also is the Senate and the First Order planets have come together to hate Leia because she is causing issues that make it difficult to see that everything is fine. Because as she's attempted, there is an actual assassination attempt on her a few times, I think, in Bloodline. It maybe just once.
I remember for sure one.
There's for sure one, and the Senate doesn't like that she's making noise. The Senate wants her to be quiet. And so that's why she realized she has to leave the Senate, because if she stays in the Senate, she won't be doing any good. And then, of course, the First Order planets want her dead because she's exposing their plans.
Mm-hmm.
Then it continues with, every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy. What about that? And when you say I seem angry, I get more angry, and there's nothing like a mad woman. What a shame she went mad. No one likes a mad woman. And so the Senate and the First Order are making Leia appear to be a mad woman because they're calling her crazy. They're calling, oh, you're just fear-mongering. You're causing all these issues.
Mm-hmm.
And this only makes her more and more angry and causes her to leave the Senate and fight back against the thing that she hates, and to create the resistance because of her disillusionment in her own government that she helped create.
Mm-hmm.
And then our last piece we have is, you made her like that, and you'll poke that bear till her claws come out, and you find something to wrap your noose around, and there's nothing like a mad woman. So again, the First Order is trying to eliminate her and get her angry, but they poke the bear of like, hey, we're going to cause issues. And the claws come out, and she comes and she fights.
I love that. Yours is better than mine. I love that for Leia.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that is so good. But yeah, how Leia channels all of that rage and energy into something productive to try to save the galaxy.
Right, because if she had stayed in the Senate, like, we know she would be dead.
But yeah,
Or like there would be no resistance to fight the First Order as it is in Force Awakens, because the Republic is destroyed by the Skykiller base, and therefore, if they hadn't poked the bear, they'd let her alone and let her do what she needed to do, they might have been able to survive, but also she probably would have found them out and ruined them earlier. So
yeah. So good. So good. Okay.
So I take it yours is not Mad Woman. We don't have a match.
No.
Okay.
No. But we went in very different directions.
Okay.
So you talked about Leia and her politics and her political career. I went with her love life.
Okay.
So my pick for Princess Leia for folklore is peace. Would it be enough if I could never give you peace?
Interesting.
So Leia as a princess, as a leader in the New Republic, as a general, or, in the rebellion, she never has a down moment. And the spotlight is always on her. Every action is scrutinized. Like, she doesn't know how to not work. To the point that in the book, The Princess and the Scoundrel, that basically encapsulates Han and Leia's wedding on Endor and then their honeymoon. Like, she works on the honeymoon. Like, they don't get a break. And like, Han wants her to take a break, but she just can't. And her sense of duty propels her to do more. But it's I guess a little bit the politics that way that comes in of like, she's always compelled to do more. But even when she doesn't want that, like, she's still a princess. She's still a leader. Like, people are always going to look at her and look towards her, whether she wants that or not. And I mean, to me, this whole song, she is singing this to Han of like, yes, I love you, but you recognize that, like, with me, it's not going to be a peaceful love. Like, they can't really, fade into the sunset and have their privacy. Like, that's just not something that they can sign up for. So kind of going through the lyrics, the ones that really solidified it for me is, as long as danger is near and just around the corner, darling, because it lives in me. No, I could never give you peace. I guess the whole line is, I never had the courage of my convictions as long as danger is near. And it's just around the corner, darling, because it lives in me. No, I could never give you peace. Where? All these people think love's for show, but I would die for you in secret. The devil's in the details, but you got a friend in me. Would it be enough if I could never give you peace? Your integrity makes me seem small, because he is so patient with her throughout the original trilogy and into extended stuff. Like, he is so patient and waits for her and loves her. You know that I'd swing with you for the fences, sit with you in the trenches. They literally do that. Give you my wild, give you a child. They also do that. Give you the silence that only comes when two people understand each other. Family that I chose. I'd give you my sunshine, give you my best, but the rain's always going to come if you're standing with me. Would it be enough if I could never give you peace?
Wow. Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, it's sad.
Making me sad. Jeez, I thought I
Yeah.
was going to make you sad. No.
No, yours
I was sad
fired-
last time.
Yeah, you were depressing last time. And yours fired me up this time. No, mine's definitely more sad. Like it's beautiful because it is that love, that intimate moment. And I like to think that Leia and Han had that conversation of like, this is not going to be a peaceful relationship.
And I mean, I think they do have that in Princess and the Scoundrel.
Yeah.
Like, he comes to terms with that of like, you're
She's-
never going to just relax with me. Like, you're like, I want to just sit in bed and spend the day with you. And she's like, I got to run. I got to do all these
She's like,
other
I
things.
can't do that.
We have to build this republic. And yeah, so.
Yeah, because she is a beacon of hope. And with that, with great power comes great responsibility.
Uh-huh.
So,
Wow.
yep. That's my pick.
Nice.
So our next episode, we will be doing Folklore's sister, Evermore, with Princess Leia.
Yeah, it doesn't get any happier with mine.
I think kind of from here on out, it could be sad.
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I think there's a few of mine that are like, I don't think they're like super sad. I think they're like, there's frustrations, there's stuff like that on my later, the rest of the season. But I think, especially my TTPD, I think is more insightful.
Oh, we get a peek behind the curtain there.
Sure. Of like, I don't think it's like depressing, but it's like, yeah. So.
Alrighty. But I'm excited to talk about Evermore.
Oh yeah, no, Evermore is going to be amazing. Yeah, I'm going to make people sad. So, fair warned, you're going to be sad.
Okay. But where can people find us?
You can all find us if you want to tell us how you don't want to be sad anymore, even though the sand hurts our feelings.
And Star Wars is tragedy.
Right. You can find us on Instagram or Threads, both at The Sand Hurts My Feelings Pod. You can also use the hashtag LeiaTSEvermore. Hashtag LeiaTSEvermore, because if you want to let us know what song you think should be on Evermore, because again, more in-depth thoughts and processes going on in that album. And if you want to send us a old-fashioned email, you can find us at thesandhurtsmyfeelingspod@gmail.com. And you can also find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/The Sand Hurts My Feelings Podcast. So also come check us out at Twin Cities Con. So we're having a lot of fun with our podcasts. We've got a Redbubble now up, Redbubble site that we can talk more about, I think, on the next episode or
Yeah, we'll
the
talk
next
about
couple
that.
episodes.
Yeah, so we'll tease that.
Tease that a little bit if you want to check out some of our designs and stuff like that. So, but anyway, as always, also welcome back the Eras Tour. That's pretty cool. But as always, remember, may the Force be with you.
Forever and always.
May the force be with you.
That's such a random welcome back, the artist.